Good evening. This is Debbie Davis. It is April 8th, 2025. Well, there is supposed to be an eclipse again tonight, from my understanding. That's what Jonathan Kahn had said in one of his videos, so I'm going to have to look for that. But I just did a video today. So this is not the first time I've had this happen now, where I've had, so I had to move from where I was staying in Golden Valley, and I'm in a different place, but I don't have, I don't have a current mail forwarding in the system. I just went to the local post office and tried to ask why. So what happened is I just had some items that were at my place, the other place I was staying here locally in the Minneapolis area. I just had some items I was trying to send back to my house that I own in South Dakota. And it was a parcel box. I paid for it, and for some reason it came back to me. So, and this isn't the first time this has happened. They ordered something online one time to have sent out there, and because I have something that was needed for the house out there. Okay, and it came back to me because it was going USPS, but for some reason, because of the mail forwarding. Okay, I don't parcel packages. It, like, I looked online and I did the whole research already. Okay, it doesn't. It says that it generally will not forward packages. Okay, like. You can ask them to forward a package for a fee, is what, okay. It's only supposed to redirect personal mail, like bills and letters, okay? So let's just get that clear. So there's something going on with the post office, and they're redirecting packages that you sent, and so now I have to, figure out what happened, and then it's going to cost me more money, which is, again, a more fraud. Like, we've already discussed a lot of fraud here. And I've already exposed the post office before in one of my other videos. There was in the past, there was tons, I had tons of packages being tampered with in the past when I was trying to send different items, because I have a business as well on the side, and they were ending up damaged. And then I had insurance and everything on them through the post office, and they didn't honor the insurance, and they didn't pay my insurance claims. So that was literally, it cost me thousands of dollars. And because these were tons of items, they were going to the UK and different things like that. So then it was dealing with customs and different things, because they would arrive damaged when they got there. And I had full coverage on them, but they wouldn't honor it. They said, "Oh, we could not." I would get back in the mail. They would say, "We could not tell that this was damaged within our care." Oh, well then whose care was it in? The CIA? Probably the CIA, I'm guessing. Yeah, a real professional post office, don't you think? Our post office, and then I exposed the post office in one of my other videos, because when I tried to get it, first of all, you can never get a hold of customer service. You're on hold for an hour. That's why I just stopped using them as well. And then even when I did, I said, well, I mean, if you can't help me figure out this and pay insurance claims and stuff, then this is fraud. And I said, why do I even pay taxes to you when you're supposed to be a government office? And she's like, this lady, she was super rude to me on the phone, whoever I got a hold of on customer service. And she said, we're not a government agency. Your tax dollars don't go to us. We're a private company now. And so she admitted to me that the post office is now a private entity. So, I don't even think half the postal employees know this. The post office is a private company now, owned by stockholders. Okay. And so this, apparently is not even a government, business anymore. And so how do the employees even know they're even going to get a pension or anything? I mean, it's been bought out. The post office is apparently a private company now, And so anyway, it says it says you can request forwarded, like priority items are eligible for forwarding at a cost. Okay. It says that this is what I looked up online. It says you can request certain items to be forwarded at a cost. Okay, but the only thing that are supposed to be forwarded automatically for free are letters and packages. I mean, letters and stuff like that, like bills and stuff like that. So, this is how it came back to me, and it didn't even. We can't even figure out why. Okay, it just said, "Return to sender, unable to forward." Okay, so it didn't even forward. Like, it just says, "Return to sender, unable to forward." Okay, I paid $37 to have this package sent. Doesn't even give us, so we're still trying to figure out what happened. Return to sender, unable to forward. Okay, so apparently it wasn't even, there wasn't even a forwarding issue. It just came back, and we can't figure out why. So why did I just spend money trying to send a package out through the post office when it just comes back? And on top of it, I don't even have a current mail forwarding in the system in South Dakota. I haven't filled out a mail forwarding in years now because, like, I have most of my major issues that I need to, like the VA has my local information, and any other major bills have like my local information to send me to. So I haven't messed with a mail forwarding in years. I don't have a current mail forwarding in the system, and they're only supposed to last so long, and it was never, they're only supposed to last so long. So, this whole thing is total fraud on the part of the post office. Okay. And so it went all the way out to Eureka, South Dakota, to the post office there. And I had the phone number directly to the manager there at one time, but now you can't even get a hold of the post office. Like, I used to call her directly, and now that number,
you have reached a number.
Now the local post office numbers don't work. Like, so you can't even get a hold of the people directly anymore. Now the Eureka, South Dakota post office, that's the main post office near. Now it's an 800 number. Now it's an 800 number that you got to call. Because I used to be able to call that number directly, and there was a manager lady that I call. And now I can't get a hold of her.
Customer care center.
So now it's this local number, and I'll be on hold for like an hour. So professional, isn't it? I'll be on hold. You'll at least be on hold for at least an hour. Okay, if you're lucky. If you're lucky, maybe even longer. So that's what we're dealing with the post office now. Totally unprofessional. I don't have a current. I don't even have a current mail. And then the lady here said she didn't even see anything under my name in the system. No local forwarding or anything. So she has no idea why it would have been sent back. So she said I had to contact the one in Eureka, which so I can't contact them because it's just going to an 800 number now. So isn't that convenient? That's how they commit fraud. Okay, so you can't get a hold of the post office, and that's how they get away with fraud. So when they frauded me by tampering with my mail years ago, I had coverage on it, and I had paid the insurance, and they just denied my claim. It was total fraud. But who am I going to report the post office to? Who am I going to report fraud? So they this was. It costed my company like hundreds and hundreds of dollars because I had to replace the part that was broken, and I had to send it all the way to the UK. It was customers in the UK, and I didn't even get any reimbursement from the post office for damaging it. No explanation, no anything. Okay, so that's why I just try to stay away from USPS completely. But I didn't even know that this local place that I sent this out. I didn't even know. They just apparently they chose the cheapest option, which was USPS at the time. Okay, so yeah, that is the situation there, and then I still haven't gotten a check from Progressive Roadside. So there's more fraud against me. I mean, what is that? Is the whole reason why why Elon Musk and his team are doing this stuff. It's because we have so much fraud. And so I still haven't. Even though I was told two different times. I was sent a voicemail, and then when I called Progressive Roadside last a week ago, I was told that it was in the mail on a Monday. Okay, I called Progressive. I was told that the check was in the mail, and this was when I talked to Progressive Roadside. I was told that the $200 check was in the mail, and that it would be coming from a company called Cross Country Motor Club. She goes, it's in the mail. It went out yesterday. And this was a phone call that I made to Progressive Roadside, which is the number I was supposed to call. And she said the check was in the mail. It was sent out a week ago. It was last Monday. Yeah, it would have been last Monday. And so I was waiting for it to come in the mail yet last week, and it never came. And I was told that it was sent out. And that, but then the check was actually going to come from a company called Cross Country Motor Club, and I said that's fine. I don't care, what it says on the check. I just want to be paid back. This was this was a phone call that I made March 25th to Progressive Roadside. The lady on the phone told me the check has been sent out, but the check was going to be coming from a company called. So this is a 5-minute phone call conversation. So I'm not making this up. Okay. She said that the check was going to be sent out. So that would have been, that was the 25th. So that is now, so that was last Friday. And I was told that the check was going to be mailed out Monday the 28th. Okay. So that would have been, so that was April 28th. It was supposed to be sent out. I still have not received that in the mail from Progressive. I was stranded. I've told this story. I was stranded in New Mexico. I had Progressive Roadside. I had paid my coverage. It was paid in full. Roadside assistance. Could not get them on the phone. They did not come out. And then they gave me a hard time for not getting the receipt from the roadside wrecker service that I had to have come out. Then I was like, and then, but I sent in other things from the trip and pictures of the tire, things like that. So then they said they were going to send me a check, and now I still haven't received it. So this is more fraud. So we got fraud in the insurance companies, fraud in the post office. We got tons of police not doing their jobs. To protect us like they are supposed to protect and serve. Okay, so I have, so you know what, I personally, I won't believe, I understand that supposedly they've arrested some gang members here, according to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, the new Justice Department. Okay, but and you're saying that the local law enforcement and FBI are involved in these things. None of us that have had severe issues with the police, with them being a part of our harassment, especially on this, when we're on this targeted individual program. And it's not just because they're not just part, they're part of my harassment. That's one thing. That's illegal right there. Okay. But then on top of it, they don't do anything they're supposed to do. It wasn't just me. It was my friend John here that tried to get the local police involved when he was told by the local hospital that he's not allowed to go back to see his mother, when she was the power of attorney, and then his mother was killed at this hospital, and the sheriff should have been the very person that he should have called, that should have helped him. Okay, not only are you not doing your job, but you're part of, like, a severe part of the problem. So until we get the police, the bad police, until and the Justice Department is fully aware and engaging in the fact that we have a huge amount of dirty cops and cops that aren't doing their jobs, and FBI, then we won't. How could we ever take seriously that you telling us that you have local law enforcement helping you round up the bad guys? What local law enforcement? I understand there are some good ones in Polk County of Florida. I mean, I'm sure, it's not like I'm saying that there aren't any good ones, but you got to clean up the bad ones in order for us to be able to trust any of the good ones. Okay, you have to clear out the bad eggs in order for us to ever believe that you're gonna that you have good ones helping you. Okay, because people like myself that have been targeted literally for 13 years and the local police are involved, we're not gonna believe that and trust any local law enforcement until we see that things have changed. And there's been so many, not just the George Floyd, but multiple other deaths by cop here locally. I mean, there was Ricky Cobbs in Shakopee, and that guy got off with no charges. That could have been anybody. Like he we don't even know the whole story there. Like, did he have a warrant? What was the reason for them even pulling him over? And all he did was say, say the Fifth Amendment, I have the right not to talk to you. And I want to speak to a lawyer. And he started driving away, and then they shot him to death. Okay. You don't get to chase somebody. President Trump passed laws regarding that. Like, you can no longer chase somebody unless it's a criminal matter. Like, if it's just like some kind of minor civil thing. I remember that President Trump passed something where you can't chase somebody unless it's like some kind of major criminal matter. Because that's what happened to me in South Dakota, where the local sheriff, who I've done multiple videos about, his name is Sheriff Dave Ackerman. Multiple videos I've exposed him. He has a false warrant. He made up a false warrant, and second of all, a warrant is only supposed to last for 5 years. Okay, so this should be dropped at this point, but he hasn't dropped it because the ones that think they think they can get away with anything unless they're held accountable. So in 2018, I was a witness. I simply was coming home from Aberdeen, and I was a witness to a fatal car accident in Leola, South Dakota. Okay, my house is near, just a little bit north of Aberdeen, South Dakota, out there, and all I was a witness. There was multiple witnesses. I was one of the first ones. I called 911, and we were waiting there for them to come out, for the local police and paramedics to come out. The woman had been thrown from the car. The two kids didn't have a pulse, or they were in bad shape for sure. And then the other girl I was trying to comfort the girl and the mother and whatever, and the other two boys weren't responding. It turns out the two boys were dead on impact, I guess. And I mean, it was the worst car accident that I've ever been a witness to. Okay. And I didn't do anything. I used to be a certified nursing assistant, and and so I was just doing the basic, checking the pulse, and then all we did was we were all just sitting there waiting for the paramedics to come out and trying to comfort the mother who had been thrown from the car and the other little girl. And then when the sheriff finally got there, I had been taking just a little bit of footage for the mother's sake. And it was a public road. It wasn't illegal for me to take footage. But the very first thing that he does is try to get there on the scene. He tries to take the phone out of my hand and tells me that I'm and tells me to leave. And so I leave. Well, a month and a half goes by. A month and a half goes by, and I'm driving through Leola, South Dakota, and he has me pulled over, the local sheriff, and he says that there's a warrant for my arrest, and I said, for what? I have not been informed of anything. And then they go, well, you come back to the car and we'll show you. Come back to the dep. And it wasn't even like a real sheriff vehicle. It was like an unmarked sheriff vehicle. Like, I didn't even know. And I said, I'm not going back anywhere. I said, I don't have any warrant. I haven't received anything in the mail for anything. Okay, so apparently he had made up a charge against me, saying I was disorderly at the scene of that accident. Okay, so now it's disorderly to call 911? This is the kind of sheriff we're dealing with. Okay, and this isn't the first time he's made up stories about people in that town, in that county. He's done this to other people. He's committed false crimes. My one neighbor had to do 2 weeks in jail for a false charge against him too, where he said that that he did something he didn't do. This isn't the first time that he's made up false charges against people in that county. So I got I called 911 and I said, I don't know what this is about. They're trying to say I have a warrant. And I got somebody from the 911 or state police or something on the line, and they said, what is this regarding? And at first they wouldn't even talk. They wouldn't even, the sheriff wouldn't even talk to the 911 or the state police person I had on the phone. They wouldn't even tell him. And then they finally admitted that it was just a civil matter. It was a disorderly. And because he was trying to arrest me. He was trying to, not only did I not know about the charge, there was already a warrant. He had already put a warrant in the system without me even knowing about a charge. So in case you're unaware, local police, you have to actually make somebody aware of a charge first and provide them with a court date before you can do the warrant. Okay? Do I need to tell you how to do your jobs? So he had actually completely made up a charge and put a warrant in on top of it without even my acknowledgement, without even letting me know that I even had a charge against me. Okay, so she found out it was a disorderly, and she said, well, you don't have to arrest somebody for that. This woman literally had to save my life from this crooked sheriff that we have in McPherson County, South Dakota. Okay, she said, you don't have to arrest this woman. This is a civil matter. So you can just serve the paperwork to her house. Okay, so then he finally gets off of me, but then now he's trying to charge me with fleeing. He tried to charge me with fleeing a police officer and a disorderly. Okay, so I've uploaded the footage of him actually he was the one that was disorderly at the scene of the accident, and there were several people that saw it. As soon as he got to the accident, he tried to take the phone out of my hand. Okay, and it was trying to come after me instead of help the people that were there injured. And they took 30 minutes to get there, and they were only 10 minutes down the road. Okay, there were 2 fatalities. The young kids had died by that point. Okay, this is total negligence. This is false charges against me. This is fraud. This is everything above. Okay, and I'm really tired of tolerating these local police and sheriffs that aren't doing their jobs. And not only are they not doing their jobs, that they're terrifying people. Okay, and so we're not going to trust any good cops until the bad ones get cleaned out. And so this has gone on for years for me with this local sheriff. Like he just wouldn't drop the charges. And I even sent the footage to the local attorney general, and I said, here's the footage from the accident. I said, there was no disorderly. I left immediately. There was even witnesses that saw me leave immediately. There was no disorderly. This is a completely made up charge, and they just would not drop it. It went on it went on 5 years. So it's been past 5 years now. It's only supposed to last 5 years, but they won't drop the charge. Okay, I don't know what to do to get them to drop the charges. This is, so that, people like me that have been through such severe issues where I literally have been prevented to go back to my own home. That's that's a Fourth Amendment violation against me because of a false charge. Okay, this is a complete crime against me, and it has gone on for years now, and it's gone on not only in that state but multiple other states where I've been targeted by the police. And it's like the sheriff gets involved with somewhere else I'm staying because he's got it in for me, and he gets another Mason. They're all Masons, and they gets another Mason in a different county involved in falsely arresting me for something else. These are all false arrests and false charges. Okay, so until you start to realize that this is, that we have some crooked criminal cops and clean those out, we're not going to believe that any kind of real cops or FBI are involved in cleaning up the bad guys. And so, when I hear this type of thing, like they're cleaning up the gangs or whatever, and the local cops are involved, it's just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what local cops? Like, what? Do we have some real local cops that are actually doing something around here? Because they've been nothing but harassing to multiple people. Like, I mean, this has gone on for years. So, that is my frustration that I have today. It's just, we have to address and clean up the criminals that, first of all, yeah, of course there are some criminals that need to be cleaned up that illegally came here, but there's criminals that are in, we can't have local enforcement involved, in going after the bad guys when some of them are the bad guys. Okay, it's just not going to work. Like, most of them can't be trusted. So how do you expect us to believe that any of this cleanup is really happening until we see these bad, until we see the agencies cleaned out of the corruption, like the whole FBI cleaned out, if we're going to actually think that the FBI is involved. We've tried, in South Dakota, we tried getting the FBI involved in the crimes that happened in McPherson County. They never contacted us. They never got involved. My friend Paul Register, who was witness to multiple crimes at a developmental center, who was a licensed social worker, he tried getting the FBI in South Dakota involved in multiple crimes that happened there. And also he... since he was on the news, he was also contacted by multiple other people in South Dakota of multiple unsolved murders there. And he had this whole packet that he turned into the local FBI, and they never got back to him. So until we get these agencies cleaned out, we aren't going to actually believe that the local law enforcement or FBI are involved in cleaning up, could be trusted. They can't be trusted until they be cleaned out. Okay, so